It's time to see if Joey got any better in the season in which it was moved from Thursdays to Tuesdays, then put on hiatus, and then ultimately canceled. The first season started off strong in the ratings, debuting to about 18 million people, but then slid to about 7 million as the season went on. So naturally there are going to be some changes going into season 2. The show's co-creator Shanna Goldberg-Meehan left the series after season 1 and was replaced with John Pollock, who had previously worked on Spin City and Home Improvement. Plus, actor Miguel Nunez Jr. was added to the supporting cast. Let's see if any of that helped. Okay, I actually remember this episode, and it's the reason that I 100% gave up on this series. This is a two-parter, and there is some strong stuff here. Miguel Nunez Jr. is a great addition, and he acts circles around the rest of the supporting cast, and the first time we're introduced to him, he's playing a severed head, although it would be funny if he was reprising his outhouse death scene from Friday the 13th Part 5. There's also some funny stuff with Joey's auditions. In one of them, he's accidentally reading for the role of a mother when he's reciting lines as a drug dealer. The season is also starting with an arc, which is good. Joey wants a big break by auditioning for a Kevin Smith movie, but by the end of it he ends up getting cast as the lead in a Jerry Bruckheimer film. But where it completely lost me is that there's a subplot that picks up from the end of last season when Joey and Alex sleep together, and he wants to make it up to her by giving her a very nice romantic date. Everything appears fine, and then in the last scene he gives her a romantic dinner on the rooftop that's very charming and sweet, but it ends with him going, "Ah, see, I told you I could do romance, thanks for playing along!" Ugh. It's written as a stupid misunderstanding that not even Joey Tribbiani would have, and it just comes across as cruel and a really cynical way to pad out the whole Joey and Alex romance. Yeah, when Rachel had feelings for Joey, he said some things that were like fake flirting, but he didn't know she had a crush on him, and he's well aware that Alex has feelings for him and Joey. But unlike 12 years ago when I gave up on the series, can't do that this time. I gotta keep watching it. I'm guessing they got some studio notes to add a lot of guest appearances this season. The previous episode had Kevin Smith, and this one has John Larroquette as Joey's co-star in the Bruckheimer movie. Unfortunately, the episode also has the addition of sassy kid sidekick, which I'm sure will someday work in some series. It hasn't yet. Although there is a little vindication for all the other series that have been ruined by bratty kid characters, because the episode ends with Joey spanking the kid for being a pain in the ass. That happened. Oh, and the Alex subplot has Gina setting up auditions for people to go on a date with Alex. So great, the series is gonna end with Alex getting needles shoved through her eyes. The guest spots don't stop coming. Dan Cortez is in this episode. I don't think I've seen him since The Single Guy, maybe? Which does take place in the Friends universe due to the crossover episode with Ross Geller. Cortez plays Joey's stuntman Chuck, who Joey gets drunk, causing Chuck to then jump off the roof of a building, which only merely breaks his arm. The hell kind of movie set is this? And if you don't know what year this series was made, don't worry, there is a Bennifer joke. Even the first episode of the second season had a very Geely-era Ben Affleck joke in it. I keep forgetting Michael is even in this because Miguel Nunez pretty much pushes all of the other supporting characters to the background to the point to where I don't know why he just doesn't replace all of them. Speaking of replacement, I guess the Bruckheimer movie doesn't have Larroquette or the sassy black kid in it anymore, because they've just disappeared. Aw man, this episode cut out the opening theme song. Everybody remembers Sunny Hours by Long Beach Dub All-Stars featuring will.i.am. I'll be there for who? So who's the guest star this week? It's Betty White, who's selling her house, causing Joey and Gina to pretend to be a married couple with a baby, which does lead to some pretty funny stuff with Joey using an animatronic baby that horrible things keep happening to. They're still going with Alex having a crush on Joey and Joey being completely oblivious to it. Something that was done better and more realistically when it was Rachel having a crush on Joey, because here there's no reason for Joey to be oblivious to it, especially since they've already slept together. Oh, Bobby the agent has a subplot involving her being in hot water because she raped Phil Collins. What? Apparently you can just walk into an English as a second language class to hit on women and become an A student because you already speak English and the teacher will be none the wiser. I actually saw a clip of this episode on YouTube and it was funny seeing all of the comments that said, "What the hell, I don't remember this being on Friends." John Larroquette is back in this episode, which is surprising because I seriously thought they were gonna just disappear his character, like they did with Lucy Liu in the first season. If they really wanted to boost this season, John Larroquette should have been made a regular. Why? Because John Larroquette is awesome, that's why. I can't be too upset at this episode though, because there is a Gilmore Girls reference where Joey wishes that he had that kind of relationship with his own mother, so that was funny at least. Michael loses his virginity in this episode, but if the show doesn't care about it, then I don't care about it. Seriously, this happens while the ending credits are rolling. Alex teaches Joey Texas Hold'em, but uses fake rules so that Joey can win. And let me just check something. Oh, yep, that is a lot like the time Chandler taught Joey the fake card game Cups. All of that's just an excuse for the episode's guest stars, which is a lot. Joey takes his fake rules to Celebrity Poker Showdown, remember that show? Where we see Dave Foley, Cindy Margolis, Louis Anderson, Coolio, and Alan Thicke. That just reminds me of when I saw Alan Thicke guest starring on Fuller House, so I'm sad again. So anyway, I really needed a break, so my girlfriend and I went to go get some coffee, and then this old school bus driver pulled up alongside of us, rolled down his window, and said to us, Hey, what do you call a straightened boomerang? A stick! Ha ha ha! And then he just drove off. That was funnier and more random than anything that was in this episode. As for the episode itself, I don't know, Joey has a sex tape and has to clear it all up by going on the Ellen show and apologizing to his ex-girlfriend. So guess who the guest star is in this episode? It's the lead actress from Mr. Wrong. Well, there was a Caligula reference in this episode, so there was that. There's trouble in the potential Joey-Alex romance because Alex's ex-husband, Reverse Flash, comes back, plus Joey has a new girlfriend named Candace. Candace, however, is played by Valerie Aslin, who was Piper the Bachelorette on the Joe Schmo Show. So luckily for Alex, this could all be a prank. I'm actually starting to warm up to Alex a little bit because Andrea Anders is really good at playing the stuttering, neurotic, flustered Alex. I want to see more of that. Poor Michael, though, is just in the background again. I don't know why he hasn't been written off the show yet. That would be like keeping Selby around even after he was replaced by Cousin Ira on Mad About You. I was really scared in the previous episode because there were no celebrity guest stars in it. But don't worry, this episode made up for it because George Hamilton is there. Plus, Gregory Harrison has been added as Joey's swingin' bachelor neighbor. He was Gonzo in Trapper John and Logan from TV's Logan's Run. I grew up watching a lot of TV. There's a part in this episode where they find ancient Indian pottery, but Joey is way more interested in the antique Coca-Cola can that was also found, and I completely identify with this. It's a Thanksgiving episode, and at the end of it, Joey asks everyone what their favorite Thanksgiving was, although he never gets a chance to answer. I can think of at least 10 answers he could have given. He could have mentioned when he had Rachel's trifle, or when he had a whole turkey all to himself. Oh, by the way, Ben Falcone briefly returns as Howard, and I completely forgot Howard was even a character in this. What is with this show seemingly forgetting people and then sort of bringing them back? Okay, this one's weird, because we find out who Michael's father is, and he turns out to be an old high school friend of Joey's. But the thing is, he's played by Adam Goldberg. Adam Goldberg played one of the best minor characters on Friends, who was Chandler's crazy brief roommate, Eddie. Lloyd, by the way, huge Adam Goldberg fan. That's why he's here for this episode. You'd think Joey would have thought that Eddie looked familiar, but he did say at the beginning of this episode that Jimmy was dead to him, so maybe he was just in denial about Eddie looking like Jimmy. Sure. This is actually a pretty funny episode, thanks largely in part to Adam Goldberg, who is always great. Plus, there's 2 pothead crew members on Joey's movie, and they're played by Bill Ponderosa from It's Always Sunny, and Chico from The Joe Schmo Show. Speaking of, I guess Joey and Candace are no longer together. It never showed them breaking up, but fuck all if she's been referenced since. Michael and his girlfriend break up, but don't let that trick you into thinking this episode is about Michael. It's still about everybody else. The guys all go to Tijuana, and the set looks like it could have doubled as a dorm room from Saved by the Bell, the college years, and then Joey and Zach get drunk married to each other. Oh, Zach is the name of Miguel Nunez's character. If I forgot to mention that, doesn't matter, the shit's about to get canceled anyway. If Joey wants advice on how to get out of a drunk marriage, well, don't ask Ross. He tried to ignore it and stay married. I'm not too mad I got to eat during this episode. It's been a very Joey-themed food day. At the beginning of the season, I had a meatball sub, and then in the middle, we had the Joey special. 2 pizzas! The episode instantly starts out strong because Hugsy is in it. He's there when Joey and Alex are making out on the bed, and then she turns him around. I would never do that to my Hugsy. My Hugsy sees everything. Oh, and Joey and Alex still aren't together, but he does learn that she has feelings for him, which again, Joey is way better at picking up signals than this. I like that the writers of this episode must have sat around and said to themselves, what do we have Michael do on this episode? I know, let's just have him build a gingerbread house. Though it is pretty funny when Joey keeps destroying it. Plus, John Michael Higgins has a funny role as Bobby's David Niven-esque British boyfriend. They also bring back the whole Bobby having a crush on Michael thing, and every time Michael gets grossed out by it, I just sit there and think, dude, what's your problem? Just go for it. Side note, this was the last episode to air in the United States, so if you were watching this series' first run, you'd be under the impression that the Joey Tribbiani saga ends with Joey being upset because his action figure was made with a female body. Jimmy still doesn't know that he's Michael's father yet. Alex and Joey still aren't together because she's now dating Gregory Harrison's Dean character, leaving Joey sitting on the back porch by himself, eating mashed potatoes off the ground. The end? The episode scored a series low of 4 million viewers, but the remaining episodes did air in Norway, Latin America, and Ireland, plus they're available on the show's DVD set. So you bet your ass we're continuing! You know what makes watching Joey even better? Seeing it with hard-coded foreign subtitles and sped up. You know, that annoying thing they do on Nick at Night and other networks only so they can fit in more commercials. Classy. This episode actually does have a return of a Friends actor playing their original Friends character. Robert Costanzo returns to play Joey's dad, who Joey takes with him to the premiere of his movie. That's really what this show needed. Not some random celebrity guest who happened to be free that day, but the return of an actual Friends character. By this point in Frasier, we had the returns of Sam Malone in an episode, and also Lilith Crane. There really should have been more guest appearances from Friends people. But I really wouldn't count on any more of that in the batch of NBC unaired episodes. Alex is turning 30 and is sad. I know what she should be doing. She should be watching the Friends episode where they all turn 30. That's what I'd rather be doing. Alex has to choose whether or not she wants to be with Joey or if she wants to accept Dean's marriage proposal. As someone who watches Gilmore Girls, never go with Dean. Never ever go with Dean. I don't care how charming Gregory Harrison is. Admittedly, this Dean isn't as bad as Gilmore Girls' Dean, but that's a pretty fucking low bar of Deans. And take it from me, I played serial killer Dean Coral in a movie, and that guy was a pederast. It's too bad these episodes went unaired because Adam Goldberg's Jimmy has quickly become the best character on this show. Why wasn't he brought into this series sooner? He's more or less playing a slightly less insane version of his Eddie character, but regardless, this show needed Crazy Eddie. It is funny how Jimmy totally sidelines the Zach character, who himself was put in there to sideline the Michael character. This whole season has been nothing but sidelining. If they did a third season, the show probably would have been called Chandler. As for the rest of the episode, Joey finally moves into his new house, which he bought at like the beginning of the season. Doesn't matter though, it burns down. Adam Goldberg is so good in this that it is honestly infuriating. If he had been brought into this show so much earlier, he honestly could have saved this series. Adding Miguel Nunez was a nice addition because he was good compared to the weaker elements of the show, but Adam Goldberg is genuinely hilarious in every scene he's in. The previous episode had him wanting to gut one of Michael's nerd friends with a knife. The main plot of this episode has to do with Joey acting as a beard for a lesbian actress, but I'm way more interested in the plot about Jimmy and Gina moving in together. I take back what I said earlier. If they did a third season of this, it probably would have been called Joey and Jimmy, and I would have watched the fuck out of that. Sorry, despite the title, Jay Sherman is not in this episode. You know who else isn't in this episode? Miguel Nunez, whose name isn't even on the opening credits anymore. No explanation given for his disappearance, so I guess he's on the same boat as Lucy Liu and John Larroquette. Bye! Look, so long as Jimmy is still around, I really don't care who they get rid of. Oh, and Dean's not on it anymore either, which I kind of figured given he hasn't been seen since the proposal episode. And that doesn't matter either because the show finally found a good voice with the addition of the Jimmy character. And of course, it's happening in the batch of episodes that didn't even fucking air. Maybe they shouldn't have been focusing so hard and cramming in so many pointless celebrity cameos in the first half of the season. This country is stupid, TV executives are stupid, and TV itself is stupid. Okay, not all TV is stupid. So Joey's a guest on Inside the Actors Studio, which feels like it's something that should be happening way later in Joey's career. Before the Bruckheimer movie, he was a soap actor who was killed off on a ski drama and did some other supporting movie roles. I don't even know if his Bruckheimer movie's even a hit yet. This feels like it should be a plot line happening in a 5th season of Joey. Plus, in such a milestone in Joey Tribbiani's acting career, it also seems like some of his friends should be there with him. Same with when his movie premiered a few episodes ago. Chandler could have slept through it again. This wasn't a very good episode anyway. When James Lipton takes questions from the audience, about 30 women raise their hand and yell at Joey for sleeping with them and not calling them the next day. What the fuck kind of stupid-ass Chuck Lorre bullshit joke is that? Well, it's all leading to the finale. Gina and Jimmy are getting married. Joey and Alex are dating. Oh, and Michael has a subplot where he's talking to a woman online who turns out to be a guy. Even with meeting his dad for the first time and his parents getting married, he's still in the background. The next episode is the final episode, and I'm genuinely curious how they're going to end this. Between the ratings and switching from Thursday to Tuesdays and being put on hiatus, they had to know this would be their final season. So the question is whether or not they care enough to give it a proper series finale, or if it's just gonna end. I'm guessing it'll have some kind of closure. At the very least, the actors aren't sleepwalking through this. Matt LeBlanc and Adam Goldberg are still great, so let's see how it all ends. Good enough. It doesn't end with a cliffhanger, so that's nice. Gina and Jimmy get married. Alex and Joey are in a committed relationship. So it ends about like you'd think it would if it's gonna have any closure. The episode itself is kind of a mixture of when Chandler got cold feet before he and Monica's wedding, and also when Paul Rudd told Phoebe he never wanted to get married again, but there's still some funny stuff here. All in all, it's a passable way to go out, and the writers were smart enough not to leave any unanswered questions. Except for where the hell did Dean, Zach, Candace, Lucy Liu, and John Larroquette go? Are they all dead? Executive producer Kevin Bright blamed the show's struggles on too much involvement from studio executives, and having watched both seasons, yeah, I can tell. The show certainly didn't take any risks. It was very unambitious, a bit cynical, and it reeked of executives just automatically assuming it would be a hit just because it's a Friends spin-off. It frequently gets brought up on lists of the worst spin-offs of all time, and I don't know if I would go that far. It's disappointing for sure, especially if you're a big Friends fan like I am, but Joey Tribbiani is still a lovable character, and Matt LeBlanc still has great comedic timing and is excellent in the role. By the time Adam Goldberg came into the show, they really had something here, but by that time, it was too late and the network already gave up on him. Adam Goldberg should have been on this show from the very beginning. Not only did he make the show better, but he also made the Gina character more interesting because the two of them bounced off of each other perfectly. It would have been great to see more of Joey's acting career. Yeah, the second season does have kind of an arc with the Bruckheimer movie, but that's really only about 10% of what goes on in it, with the rest of it being Joey's personal life like usual. Matt LeBlanc took a 4-year acting hiatus after the show's cancellation, but did make an excellent comeback with the show Episodes that everyone should check out. Watching Episodes and Joey, one wonders what could have been done to make this show great. What if it was a show where Joey Tribbiani is cast on a spin-off series? What if it ditched the laugh track and was something more Episodes-esque that'd be about a much older, slightly more wiser, but still very flawed Joey Tribbiani? Joey could have been one of the best spin-offs of all time if they just let it have its own voice, like more successful spin-offs like Frasier did. As it is, it's just a curiosity. It's not the Brady Brides bad, or the Tortellis bad. It just is what it is. Next up, I'll be watching Marvel's Iron Fist, but let's put it to a poll over on Patreon to determine what will be the next sitcom that I binge watch. If you click on the Patreon link in the description, you can choose between the McLean Stevenson series Hello Larry, another ill-fated spin-off After MASH, or the final season of Roseanne. Voting ends on Sunday, March 19th. Sorry, no Windy City this time. That's strictly a Cinema Snob thing.